Hello and welcome to another Reactor Ali speaker interview. I am Jameson Dance and I am here with Drew Conley, one of our esteemed speakers. Drew, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Hey, sure. So my name's Drew Conley, like you said. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. By day, I'm a front-end developer at Famous Footwear, the shoe store. We have stores all over the country, and they have an e-commerce website, and that's what I do most of the time. And they have a bunch of other shoe brands too. So that's what I do during the day. But at night, I am a guitar teacher and I make video games.
Whoa. That's a lot of stuff. I like the name Famous Footwear because it's just like if I started a consulting company and named it like Jameson is the best consulting or something. It's very like aspirational.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess everyone has a web presence these days, but I hadn't really considered that they would have their own web team. Is it large or is it kind of small, or what's the technical team like there?
It's not very large. So our team of front-end developers has 13 people on it, but those 13 people are divided among 13 other e-commerce websites. It's only a handful of people that work on Famous Footwear itself,
Sure.
But that's kind of the big brand.
Okay.
So most of the work goes there.
Cool. I also like that you're from Missouri?
Yep.
Is that it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like this unity with people that are from the air quotes flyover states, not New York or California, because there's lots of cool tech stuff happening everywhere. Is there a good local tech scene there?
Yeah, there is. It's St. Louis especially has really grown in the past 10 years or so. We're seeing a lot more startups, and there's a lot of tech meetups that go on. I am myself am a little bit outside of the city, so then I drive in. But it's really exciting. It seems like every week there's a new thing popping up.
Sure. I've been to Strange Loop. That's the only time I've been over there. But Strange Loop is amazing.
Yeah, so it is. I've never
probably
gotten to
draws
go.
A lot of people.
I feel like it sells out immediately all the time.
Definitely does.
Yeah.
But if it hasn't sold out, you should go. Do you want to talk about how you got into programming a little bit? Just what your background is?
Yeah. So as a kid, I was super into playing video games, right? And I grew up playing Super Nintendo and Game Boy, and I just was really into it. And I would spend a lot of time drawing pictures of screenshots of games that I kind of dreamed of creating. I was fantasizing about making games. And so when I got a little bit older, I started Googling how do you make video games? And I found this application called Game Maker. Have you heard of that before?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've played games made in it. I've never used
awesome.
it, but
right. So
I've
now
heard
it's
of
this
it.
huge big thing. But back in the day, it was at this time it was just kind of getting started. And Game Maker itself has this little scripting programming language inside it. And so I started learning that and learned how to code that way. Years later, I picked up web development kind of for fun, and that just blossomed into the career that I have now. So it kind of all started with games, which is pretty awesome.
How old were you then when you started doing that?
I think I was 12.
Okay.
But then I like I said, I kind of stopped for a while and got back into programming in college.
Okay, so it was
20.
kind of early exposure, and then you just kind of drifted away a little bit and then came back into it.
Right.
Cool.
But it was cool. It was reuniting with an old friend when I saw JavaScript, and I was like, hey, this looks just like Game Maker language.
Yeah. I wonder if it was
cool.
inspired in any way. I don't know anything about the history of Game Maker or anything, but
I have no idea, except that the syntax is similar, and it's a ton of fun.
Cool. And then I guess this segues pretty well into what you're talking about at Reactor Ali. Do you want to describe your topic a little bit?
Sure. So recently, some friends and I at work have been working on this video game. We did this thing every week or so. We walk to Chipotle, right? It's our favorite place to go during lunch. And we're walking around in this beautiful city that we work in. And my friend was kind of looking around and got super inspired. And he said, guys, we need to drop everything and make a game in the browser where you're a div and Chipotle's a div and you walk to Chipotle. Yeah. And we kind of looked around at each other and we're yeah, we need to stop everything and do that. And so over lunch, we like dreamed up this big idea of like, yeah, you're a programmer and you battle other programmers, and there are like recruiters that hide in the bushes and they pop out and try to kidnap you and make you like work at their companies. And this whole thing just like built up over time into this really large project, and my defensive headlights kind of went on, and I was like, wait a minute, I don't know if we can do this just like in JavaScript
and VR, and then there's a robot in real life that like
exactly
pokes you when you get attacked, and
yeah, and you have like inventories and pause menus and boss battles, and it's just huge like production game. And I was kind of like, no, I'm sorry, this is like, I don't really know, like so it seems like when people talk about making games in the browser, Canvas comes up immediately. And I don't know any Canvas. I think it's awesome. I would love to learn it, but I just didn't know it at the time. And I was kind of like, I don't know. This just doesn't seem like it's going to work out using the divs and stuff like that. But sure enough, we started to just riff away on it. And after like months and months and months of hard work, we have a demo to share. And we used React for the... in the code, we use React, and I just learned a ton of things about making games coming from the perspective of someone that's like, no, I'm just a front-end developer. Like, that's not for making games.
Yeah, making games is like hardcore and hard and different. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, and there's so much that goes into it. Yeah, but there's also so much that you know from being like a web application developer that really helps out when making games. Like, it translates directly over. Mm-hmm. And so I want people that like have this aspiration to make games to not feel like they're in the wrong place. Like, what you know now might really help you if you want to kind of try to make a game.
That's cool. Do you have plans to turn it? You said you have a demo. Are there plans to turn it into a more full-fledged thing, or is this kind of like we learned a cool thing, we built something that people can use, and we're moving on?
Yeah, we have plans to kind of keep going with it. Right now, I said like a few months ago, we released that demo or whatever. We're working towards the next one. And then hopefully after that, there will be like a full release on a website. It'll probably just live on the internet somewhere.
I want to come back to you're a div and Chipotle is a div thing, because that sounds like a good title. Did you think about Chipotle as a div as the title of the game?
I fought for Chipotle in the title. Yeah. I did.
Probably they're not super happy about that, though, I guess.
Yeah. Chipotle is an important part to the story. I feel like that's just our motivation behind it.
Yeah, the famous Chipotle origin story now will enter like the hacker lexicon.
Right.
That's cool. So we kind of skipped from the game making stuff directly to the making games with React stuff. What made you, were you using React at work and then you just thought like, this is a thing I know, I'll use it to make a game? How did you make that jump?
Oh, right. So back when I kind of got into learning web development, I had these like passion projects that I really wanted to pull off. I was really into music and I wanted to make this music app. And so I started like using the side project as a vehicle to learn kind of all the frameworks out there. Like I built the first version in Rails and it was great, but Rails, it felt very like traditional one page for every page kind of thing. I really wanted this like fluid music player where you could navigate through the pages of the site and the music like wouldn't get interrupted. So I realized, I need to get more into JavaScript. And so I kind of learned some Ember and had a lot of fun playing with Ember and then Angular. And I used, I rebuilt a version in Angular, and then I started React, and I just instantly fell in love with React because it felt like all the problems that I had with the previous frameworks that I had tried had just went away. Like I really resonated with sort of the mental model behind what building a React app is.
Sure.
And so ever since I've been wearing the React t-shirt, so to speak, for just everyone I talk to. I'm like, you got to try React. It's so great. And that was maybe like 2 years ago now. So React was definitely like on the rise of becoming cool.
Yep.
And so because I was doing it a lot at home, like on side projects, I was able to bring it to work. And we recently actually just last month launched a brand new Famous Footwear mobile site that's like rendered on the server in React. And the whole thing is a React app. It's pretty cool. It seems like sometimes when you're working in like a bigger IT company, it can be kind of hard to inspire change because like safety is kind of the priority.
Yep.
But when React is brought to the table, just everybody fell in love with it, and we were able to launch something pretty quickly with it, and the results have been great.
That's interesting. So did you have to convince people like, hey, this is a thing, it works, or was it more let's see, how do I say this? Did you have to talk to people first? Did you build a proof of concept? What was the process like for convincing this large corporation to use what in the timeline of large corporations is still just a brand new technology?
So it was a lot of building things and convincing people. It was kind of just like the proof of how valuable it was just in the results that we were getting. So it started off as just like one little page of the site, like this little widget or whatever we used React for, and we were able to spin it up so quickly because just the way that React works, it's really easy to like get things done fast and fairly, with few bugs and things like that, just because of how it's so different. So like the part I think that took the most convincing was the server side rendering. We have this like .NET platform. There's this awesome project out of Facebook called React.js.net. And so thankfully, like I'm not good at C# or what, that's not my job, but I work with this really, really great C# developer, and he was able to implement that into our stack. And we just kind of got it going, and we were able to demonstrate how quickly you could go from like this really interactive JavaScript experience, but not lose all the server-side rendering of that.
Sure.
So that, I think it was mostly just showing people improving it with real things rather than any like theories or whatever.
That's cool. I haven't heard of I'm not a .NET person, so I haven't heard of that Facebook project either. But it seems like if you had to sell, also, we need to build our servers in Node or add this Node layer of rendering servers, that might have been a lot harder. So that's cool. Well, it sounds like your talk topic is really exciting, and I think it seems like it's going to be kind of a cool story, and then also have practical benefits. Like I'm sure you ran into some weird corner cases in React, because that seems like a thing that, I guess, a non-traditional use case for it. Do you feel like there's anything that you learned from building a game that you might take back into just building web applications?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, if games are very, very stateful, and if, it's kind of like if you've ever had a problem climbing a hill, go climb a mountain, and then come back to the hill and try to climb it, and you'll be like, but I think that the game, it was really important to stay really organized in sort of how the whole app works from a state perspective, because there's so many things that have to happen just like on one page load and without leaving, and all that single page app stuff.
Sure.
That now, like when you take that back into developing a web application, I've just gotten a lot better at kind of managing state.
Sure. Cool. So you touched on the music thing a little bit. I think we're about ready to wrap up, but before we end, I want to ask for music recommendations for people. What are you interested in that people should check out?
Oh man. Well, what kind of music do you like?
Any? Well, this is for the listeners. I guess we can do it for me, and then maybe the listeners will like the stuff you recommend for me. I like, let's see. I like a lot of kind of electronica-ish stuff, like John Hopkins, or it's kind of like chill electronic music, not like the club rave music.
Sure.
I like Radiohead and that kind of whole style of, like, I don't know what to call it besides alternative rock. I don't know. Those are probably the two main genres that I listen to mostly. That's
awesome. Alternative rock is probably my favorite genre of music. I was going to suggest like a really cool combination between the two is Rat-a-tat. Have you heard of Rat-a-tat before?
I've heard of them. I think I've listened to a couple of their songs, but I don't have in my mind just like what they sound like.
I got to see them live last fall or so, and it's really cool because they play this like electronic music, but they play guitar over it. So it's like this really cool hybrid of the two approaches, and it's all instrumental. I prefer to listen to like instrumental stuff when I'm working. So I would start there. Just go to Spotify or Apple Music or whatever and check out Rat-a-tat.
Sure. I will do that. Thank you for the recommendation, Drew.
Hey, no problem.
If people want to hear more from you or just catch up on what you're doing, how do they do that?
I'd say the best way is just probably through Twitter. My Twitter handle is my name, Drew Conley, and then the number 13, Drew Conley 13. Or you could just email me. I'm on Twitter. I'm not super active on it, but I kind of like classic emails, one-on-one.
Vintage.
And that's just my name at gmail.com, drewconley@gmail.com.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to your talk. I think it'll be great, and I'm excited to meet you in person at the conference. Thank you for your time, Drew.
Hey, no problem. I can't wait.
And we will see you later.